One day I was listening to my wife's audio message and she happened to walk in. She said, "You are speeding up my audio message." I often joke that there is Gurugram and there is Instagram.
Putting off things for tomorrow, or as they say, like tomorrow to kabhi aata nahi hai. So uska like kya solution hai? Because ye like this is a thing that plagues our generation, and when I talk with my friends as well, so that's a really common thing.
During COVID, teachers became actors on Zoom, on screen. They had no idea how to go about it. And the child's nani, dadi, and chacha and chachi are also listening to the class, which is not fair. But the teacher is supposed to be addressing only the student. Everybody cannot get into IIT. Everybody cannot get into IAS. Everyone cannot get into the Indian cricket team. All these IIIs are leading to a kind of
So I think we'll wrap up the podcast with this last segment, that is the Gen Z lingo. GOAT, GOAT.
It's the greatest of all time. This is not a Gen Z thing.
This is not a Gen Z
this
thing,
came 20
right?
years
Yeah.
ago. And I love Roger Federer, I love Sachin Tendulkar. They're the goats for me.
Reports suggest that as of 2020, the Gen Zs constitute 26% of the Indian population, that is approximately 350 million, and this figure is projected to grow to 500 million or approximately half a billion by 2030. Hello, listeners. Welcome to Frequency 3080, a podcast that takes you on a journey of the unknown. Today's episode promises to be nothing short of a game changer. We are delving into a topic that's buzzing with relevance and excitement: the Gen Z impact on India, specifically their role as catalysts for a developed India, aka Viksit Bharat. Now, without a further ado, let me introduce our esteemed speaker for this episode. Joining us today is none other than the illustrious Mr. Vivek Atray sir. With a profile that reads like a roadmap to success, Vivek sir has worn many hats throughout his career: IAS officer, TEDx speaker, renowned motivational speaker, advisor, best-selling author, former director of school education, Government of Haryana, deputy commissioner Panchkula, and the list goes on. So diving right into the podcast. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
How is your day treating you, and are you comfortably seated and ready, all set to begin the
All
podcast?
set for the podcast. Yes.
Thank you, sir. So, just to set the tone for this podcast, I'd like to have your take on how do you see the Gen Z playing a crucial role in building a Viksit Bharat, aka developed India?
Yeah, so first of all, when we say a country is developed, there is still scope for development. So when we say the Western world is a developed world, they're still developing for the infrastructure improving. So there's no end goal as being a developed India as well. We say India is a developing country and it will become a developed country. It's all comparative. And the role of the Gen Z is vital because when that developed India comes, who's going to be in charge? The Gen Z of today. And that Gen Z has to have certain qualities. Those qualities are intelligence, hard work, balance, creativity, um, compassion, etc. So when we are forward looking, we are visionary, we have compassion, we are united, then a country can develop. Other things are material resources, but the human resources are what matter, and the Gen Z's role is vital.
Fair enough, sir. So, moving on to the demographic shift from millennials to the Gen Z. So, what have you observed the crucial, like the traits that the millennials possess while the Gen Z is not, and vice versa as well?
So I think common to both, first I'll talk, and then I could talk about some differences. I think overthinking and over pressurizing your own mind is the bane, is the problem of this era. Even older people are guilty of it. Always on are the minds, always social media savvy, and then mixing your work time with your leisure time and your leisure time with your work time. So we really don't know when do we stop working. People are working 24/7 because they're checking emails after midnight, which are work related. Whereas in earlier times, the office was office and home was home. And you wouldn't carry your work home typically. But today, I think overthinking, over stressing the mind is the bane. And the difference between the millennial and the Gen Z is probably that Gen Z is even more um, wedded to technology, living in technology. Everything is available at a click of a button, and instant gratification. I want this now. I don't want it next year. I want it now. So I think that has to be converted into a sensible sense of patience. And that patience will, coupled with that dynamism. So let's take the quality of dynamism, which is action oriented, and calm patience, which is the ability to stay cool while waiting for something. Then we can have those human qualities which are required. The rest of India, I mean, lots of things need to be done to make India that developed nation, but qualities are within. We need to work on those.
Fair enough, sir. So we also, another point that I was thinking of is that the reducing attention spans as well. That also correlates to the instant gratification thing as well, especially from the short form content on social media that people consume, the reels and the YouTube shorts as well.
Very good point. It's very relevant. Actually, Anand, you see what happens. I make a lot of videos on motivation, on avoiding overthinking, on learnings from Sam Manekshaw or from 12th Fail or whatever I make. When I make a video of about 20 minutes or 10 minutes, it's not that much watched. It's not that popular. Reels are very popular. And those reels, they go viral. So the attention span is limited because we want to consume something within 1 minute. And we think we'll get the gist of it. So a book of 1,000 pages, which would have been read about 25 years ago, will not be read now, by very few maybe. And then there are gists of books, summaries of books, audio books. So the span of attention being limited is a problem. It could be also a good thing in a certain way because you're able to accomplish more. So if you look at it positively, when you're listening to an audio message and the person tends to talk slowly and you increase the speed 1.52, you get the audio message much quicker. And I was doing that on the funny side. One day I was listening to my wife's audio message and she happened to walk in. She said, "You are speeding up my audio message." I said, "I'm sorry, but I wanted to hear it quickly." So anyway, that can lead to problems. But span of attention is something we need to focus on. I mean, whatever we do, we need concentration. And at times you need patience.
So that also introduces the next theme that I want to touch. So that was basically the distractions and influences that our generation faces in today's times, especially the Gen Zs. That could be academic pressure or the Western influence fueled by globalization. Because millennials were the ones who saw the dawn of globalization in India, but the Gen Zs were born in a globalized India. So they already had exposure to that influence. So how can we tackle that? Because that those distractions, or they like take over our lives in a way.
So, firstly, there's always a young generation and there will always be a younger generation. So, a Gen Z like generation will always be there. The Gen Z of today will become older. There's no way they're becoming younger. So, every time a teenage generation or a Gen Z kind of generation comes to adulthood, there are challenges. The challenge of today is distraction. Instagram is a part of everybody's blood in a way. I mean, we live on Instagram. I often joke that there is Gurugram and there is Instagram. So it's a village, but it's a global village. Everybody is consuming content by the dozen and then you can't stop. So I went to IIT Madras, which is one of the best top colleges of the country. We are in SD College now. What happens is that there's too much of reel watching, too many distractions, and the kind of willpower you need to stop browsing social media is missing. And we don't sleep enough then. So if Gen Z is not sleeping enough, then you're not physically fit, you're not mentally fit, and you're consuming reels, so your brain is tired. So then concentration and studies and play and music and whatever you do, it suffers, and family life suffers. So I think it has to be tackled by determination, willpower, maybe physical activity, which makes you sleep on time, and reading books, conversations, coffee. I mean, coffee is optional.
Sure, sir. So that also leads to procrastination in a way, like putting off things for tomorrow, or as they say, like tomorrow तो कभी आता नहीं है. So उसका like क्या solution है? Because ये like this is a thing that plagues our generation, and
Yeah.
when I talk with my friends as well, so that's a really common thing.
Yeah.
Because
I'm asked this procrastination question every time I go somewhere or on social media, on my Instagram or LinkedIn or wherever, YouTube. There's always a question. And it's a relevant question. You see, the thing is, we are scared of the result of what we are deciding to do. If I have to have a Coke, I shouldn't be hesitating. I have a Coke, right? But if I'm going to have something which is more significant and it might be harmful for me, then procrastination is good because it gives me a chance to pause and think and reflect, should I go for this? But if it's something constructive and positive and good for me, and I know it's good for me and I'm procrastinating, then it's something I need to avoid. So I think one thing is to start by taking smaller, less important decisions quickly. Those decisions, supposing there's someone in a cafe who has the habit of not being able to decide what she or he wants to eat or drink. There are people like that. So I'll just go, I'll say filter coffee and idli is what I want. Or I'll say this is, I'm not saying I'm very decisive, but it's just an example. There are people who will tend, they like to take 10 minutes over deciding, so it's okay for me. But if you're procrastinating there, then when it comes to important decisions of life, you will. So start by little decision making, which is quicker, and then start taking important decisions slightly quicker than before, and then become a little better than before. There's no need to take lightning quick decisions, but get on to what you're doing. Don't be in that writer's block or any kind of block.
Okay. So just to take a pause from this topic, any hobby or interest that you have and the people might not know about or might find it surprising?
I think people typically know about my writing, about my speaking, which is my work now.
Random forays as well,
Random
your
Forays is
column
my
as well.
column. So writing is one of the passions. Cricket has been my passion, and I played. And some people may not know that I organized a tournament in my father's memory for the
Yes, sir.
last 28 times, JP Atray tournament. It's one of the biggest in India. It's conducted by the Punjab Cricket Association, and it's pretty much valued by players and teams. So that is something which keeps me busy. Then I don't think there's too many hidden passions that I have, but these three are good enough.
Fair enough. So, according to you, what role do you see the government and the institutions and the parents play in enabling the Gen Z to like realize their full potential?
Very important. Stakeholders of education are the parents, the teachers, and the students. And the students are the most important. And the government is a facilitator. So I was director of education and technical education as well as school education at one point. I think I was emphasizing on the human way. So the teacher's motivation, for example, will lead to better education, better inspiration. We need role models in education. So when I address teachers and professors, I will try and tell them that being a chemistry professor, great at chemistry, you can still inspire the youth. You can, the way you are, the way you walk, the way you conduct yourself, the way you discipline the class firmly but not going wild or angry, and the way you carry yourself, the way you smile, your personality. Especially a school kid looking at the teacher is the only person he or she is really meeting for the first time, apart from the friends. So I think role models have to come in education, which will increase the inspiration levels of the students. And the government can play a role by making the status of teachers better. I don't think teachers are paid enough compared to other jobs. I don't think teachers are given the status by society that they should. So educators, whether they are professors or school teachers, they need to be valued a little more by our society and recognized and given credence. Lastly, on this point, during COVID, teachers became actors on Zoom, on screen. They had no idea how to go about it. And the child's nani, dadi, and chacha and chachi are also listening to the class, which is not fair because the teacher is supposed to be addressing only the student. But they lived up to the challenge. And I wrote on this, I said, educators are the real heroes of the pandemic, apart from the doctors and the paramedics.
Agreed.
So it's something that we need to value, the teachers.
Okay, sir. So another thing that I wanted to discuss was that our generation is a generation that lives has a comfortably lavish life as
Okay.
compared to what like you might have in your childhood at
Yeah.
our age as well.
Yeah.
So the question that I wanted to ask is that there's this common cliche in our generation that we generally often feel very exhausted very easily.
Mm.
Now that doesn't has to equate with physical tiredness. It might be emotional tired or exhausted emotionally or mentally, maybe due to academic pressure or any other pressure as well. So how do like what's the solution to this?
So I think you're right. Let's put it very bluntly. Earlier times, there were very few people who were spoiled.
Mm.
So here now the number of spoiled kids is much more. And the reason they are spoiled, and even if they're not spoiled, they have everything at the click of a button. So a burger will cost not very much, and you click, and the burger has arrived. And the Blinkit guy will get you whatever you want from the market
Within
within nine
minutes.
minutes.
Within minutes.
Within 9 minutes. I mean, I'm like amazed. So the thing is that everything material is available much more easily. What is not available is respect, love, care, strong relationships, self confidence, communication skills, qualities. These are not available through Blinkit or Zomato or Amazon. So that, or Swiggy, I should not leave Swiggy. So the thing is that we have to understand that we need to keep improving our own personalities. And then we will be grateful for what we have. So the young generation, we, when I say we, I mean you, your generation, has to realize the value of what you have. Parents, a good ecosystem, good college, good home, comfort levels, which are, as you said, much more than before. I used to go out once a year with my family to a restaurant. Today, I would go out twice a week. Not go out, but I have to eat out twice a week at least, or maybe more. And it is something that we need to balance. So it's leading to lifestyles which are frenzied, which are not very healthy, and they're not sleeping enough, as I said. So I think you need to balance your life, be grateful for what you have, and work on internal qualities so that you can handle the future better.
Also, another thing, I think we must address this as well, that the academic pressure side as well. So, how do you see that, like, especially the recent news about the coaching centers as well, like no more students enrollment before 16 years of age.
Yeah.
So, what's your take on that, and how can like we manage our times, because academic pressure is the time management also plays a role in that, because when you can't manage your time, that ultimately leads to pressure by not getting things done.
Yeah, it's a very important question. So in my book, Finding Success Within, I have a quote which I wrote, which is life is not about marks. Life is about making a mark. Now I have a TEDx talk on this as well. And now that those marks which we crave for are probably, we've been told that they will give us a great career. So the academics becomes our main goal. And we should be studying all the time, and that pressure is telling on us, and coaching institutes, as you said. But then we start comparing ourselves with others. So parents compare students with others, children compare themselves with others, and the auntie down the road will also say something, caustic remark. तुम तो पढ़ते नहीं हो, वो देखो कितना अच्छा कर रहा है, that sort of thing.
And the Sharma ji ka beta
Sharma ji ka beta. So then that pressure builds up. So I think that expectation and that comparison is too much. So society is also unfair on the Gen Z in that respect, that they're expecting too much out of them. Everybody cannot get into IIT. Everybody cannot get into IAS. Everyone cannot get into the Indian cricket team. All these IIIs are leading to a kind of sense of incompleteness. So I think we have to give the Gen Z a pat on the back, and we have to tell them that it's okay. If you didn't do that well, it's okay, you're fine. So I think in the long run, marks don't really matter. Academics matter, but not as much as we think. So develop your all-round abilities, sports, music, art, writing, etc. That will make you an all-rounder.
Holistic development is the key.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right. So our generation also has a plethora of opportunities when we talk about career options. Maybe after 12th or maybe after graduation as well, like what to pursue in masters or which stream to choose. Because the earlier it used to be engineering or just medical.
Yeah.
So what are like the check boxes or aspects that we need to address or make sure that are there before choosing a career option for ourselves?
I think you have to be passionate about what you do. It's very important that you display a certain amount of passion, or you have that certain amount of passion. And sometimes students tell me that we're not sure of what we really love, what we really want to do, which is fine. You'll find out by and by. So start by eliminating certain things. Like you don't want to do commerce, it's out. You don't want to do engineering, it's out. You want to do arts or humanities, so just be a little clear. You can't be absolutely clear, but I think it's very, very important to love what you do. You cannot do something because your mama told you or your uncle told you or somebody else is doing it. The plethora of choices that you said are there to help people to select the right choice. If a person gets into the army, he should be dedicated and motivated for that. If he's a chartered accountant or she's a chartered accountant, they have to love that work. So, for me, for example, I'm a people's person. I would never have made a good chartered accountant. I would have run from there. But if you put people in front of me, I can spend all day talking to them, listening to them. That's my civil services career. So, sports I love. So, you have to find out what you love and, as best as possible, get a career aligned to that. And if you haven't found out yet, don't worry. Start finding out what you don't like at the moment. And then finally, you'll choose what you really like.
Negating the other options and narrowing it down.
Narrowing it down.
So, coming back to the reading as a habit. So, like, obviously, like the short form content has taken over everywhere in our minds as well. Like, everyone prefers watching reels over reading a book because whether we agree or not agree, but to our generation, that maybe seems boring at this point of time. So, how do you suggest that if someone wants to get into reading, like, what should he do? Or should he like rely on short form content as well? Because that is more efficient as well in a way if one is consuming the right content.
I see your point. It's a very demanding era. We don't have time to read full books. I would say that if you browse through a book and read it only for 1 hour and you went through it, it's better than not touching it at all. So you learned something from it. You try and remember what you read or you make a note of it. You got some inspiration about it. But if you really want to read a book, who is telling you to read it in 1 day or 2 days? Keep it on the bedside. Keep 3 books on your bedside or wherever you read. One by one, the book you feel like reading, pick it up. Read 2 pages. So the autobiography of a yogi, which is my favorite book, I was a busy person in office. I read it in 1 year. So I would read 2 pages and 10 pages on a Sunday and then back and then stop and then read again. And it's about 600 pages. It took me the year. So it was something I don't regret. So select a few books that you wish to read. Keep them by your side. If you travel and you're not tired, pick up that book. Like I went to Batinda by road, I came back. There was a book with me. In the car, I didn't feel like reading because I was feeling it's on the move, and sometimes in the car you don't feel like reading. But I will read it one day. So I have that book with me. If you don't have a book with you, then
You're
you're
not
not
going to
going to
read
read
it,
it.
obviously.
So at least keep it with you around you. Yeah.
So, moving back to your career in IAS as well, in civil services as well. So, what are like the daily habits or routines that you would attribute your success to there, and what made you change the career path from IAS? Because UPSC clear karna is like everybody's first priority in Indian society as well. So, what made you choose motivational speaking?
So clear karna is one thing. Actually, I came from the Haryana Civil Service to the IAS. I got
And I
promoted
guess
there.
your dad was also
He was an
IAS
IPS
officer.
officer. So I saw his power. I saw my own and status and stature. So one auntie, just to make it a bit entertaining, she tells me, Vivek, तुम resign कर रहे हो, ठुकदा की होएगा. What will happen to this power and stature that you have? And then she says, की होएगा. I said, auntie, I've seen it for a long time. It doesn't excite me anymore. But when I spent that 20 plus years in the service, I gave it my all. I didn't resign in 2 years or 10 years or 5 years. I resigned after 20 something years. So I was very happy at that time, but I wanted to do more outside the service. I'm speaking to you. I speak all over India. I'm heard, I'm read all the topics that you're discussing with me. I would not have had time to talk about. Now, because of that IAS, ex-IAS, TEDx speaker, motivational speaker background, I've been on the Runway podcast, this podcast. Now I've been on the SD College podcast, Road Track Club. So people recognize me and listen to me. So I think I resigned for this very purpose to motivate the youth. I like speaking to the youth, and they respond well. So I wanted to be a speaker, and 6 years ago I resigned. I don't regret it at all.
Okay, sir. So I think we'll wrap up the podcast with this last segment, that is the Gen Z lingo.
Okay,
So we'd like to know that how much are you in touch with the Gen Zs?
let's try.
Because we've seen that you're pretty.
I may be quite 0 out of 10, but let's
No
try.
worries, we'll just You'll just find out.
Okay.
Because you're active on social media as well, on Instagram and LinkedIn as
So you
well.
want me to tell you the meaning of each phrase that you're saying?
What can you make out from it?
All right. Let's see.
So the first one being LOL, LOL.
Laugh out loud.
Laugh out loud. That's pretty easy.
Easy.
So
Is there another one of it?
no.
Okay.
This only.
Okay.
And TBH.
Something be back? No, I don't know.
To be honest. It's kind of an abbreviation.
I've heard it, but I forgot it.
And then dank, DANK.
It means it's a expletive which is mild, I think.
It's like something very excellent.
Okay.
Like that's a dank.
So like gosh, something
exactly
dank, right?
That ways.
Okay.
FR.
FR.
It's like for real.
Okay.
For real.
I have no idea.
OMG.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. And then cap or no cap.
No idea.
So this is basically like cap means lying. So
okay.
No, like don't cap. So don't lie.
Don't cap. Okay.
So I think
I got 2 out of 5.
Yeah.
Or 6. Any more?
We do have. If
one
you'd like to
more,
answer,
maybe one or two more.
Sure. So, GOAT, GOAT.
It's the greatest of all time. This is not a Gen Z thing.
This is not a Gen Z thing.
This came 20 years ago. And I love Roger Federer. I love Sachin Tendulkar. They're the goats for me.
So, like in football as well, Lionel Messi.
Messi is the goat, yeah.
Ronaldo as well.
Yeah.
So, FOMO, FOMO.
Yeah, I know. Fear of missing
out.
So there's actually a JOMO, which is the joy of missing out.
Yeah, I've heard
so this is great because everybody thinks FOMO, but then the joy of missing out is that I don't really care about what happened there and I missed. I want to relax and meditate and find peace today. So I'm enjoying the moment.
That must be conscious decision to not go.
So those who meditate, they like JOMO better.
Okay. And just second last one, HBU.
Happy birthday to you. No.
How about you?
How about you? Okay.
I'm sure you must be thinking like these are weird students.
I don't mind.
So I think we'll wrap it up.
Sure.
So just to end it, can you look into that camera and share experience at Frequency 3080?
Yeah, it was great to be on Frequency 3080 and in conversation with Anand, and I'm very thankful to the team and Professor Gurjeet who set it up, and the entire team of SD College Rotaract Club. And I've been involved with Rotary and Rotaract for many years as a speaker, and I've been encouraging the clubs whenever I go. And more power to you to make a positive change in society.
And a small request, can you ask the viewers to subscribe to our channel as well and like, share and comment?
Viewers, you better subscribe to this channel, okay? Otherwise I'm coming to your home and making you subscribe.
Thank you so much, sir. It was great talking to you, and we hope to see you soon again as well.